Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, June 9th. Whether you're joining now or you're joining later via YouTube, somewhere on the internet, I want to welcome you to An Open Door, courtesy of the Reverend Cindy Krupp. We're a non-denominational, exploratory, curious, um, faithful, interested group of people, kind and devoted to the truth. We explore all kinds of different things together in really honest conversation. So if you found yourself here um, after June 9th, I hope you'll take a chance to listen to this podcast because we always have great conversation, and I think today will be no exception. So we are here to talk about A Course in Miracles. This is a morning that we devote ostensibly to a 2019 book that I published called Training Wheels. But it's been almost 10 years since that book was published, and what we have found together, and I have certainly found with all of you, is how much I've grown since writing that book. And while some of the things that I wrote still resonate very deeply within me, I also can see that my understanding of the truth has deepened and broadened at the same time. And that is um, in no small part because of the work that we do together as we explore the truth together. So today's lesson is lesson 104. If you're in the purple book, it's on page 1138. It's I seek I seek but what belongs to me in truth. And go ahead and find that in the book if you want to. I'm not going to be spending too much time. I probably will quote a little bit from it, but I'm going to be quoting from the guides and from some other places as well. So welcome to this discussion. Lesson 104, I seek but what belongs to me in truth. Now, I'm going to suggest that we just take about 5 minutes, and I'll time us just to let whatever has accumulated in you today, even if you're like May and it's only 7 o'clock in the morning there. I'm just going to suggest that you just take a little time. As I said, I'll time us, and just you can keep your screen on, but let's just enter a moment of silence together um, and just do a 4 or 5 minute meditation together and let go of any ideas that we might have about this lesson or anything we've accumulated in the day. All right, come on back and let's explore this together. I'm going to start out by reading a little bit from Training Wheels, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about what we talked about yesterday, which was from chapter 18, section 4, A Little Willingness, because that section actually has a lot of tangent points with this lesson today. So, little willingness, as we just said, that whole section is just really a lesson on being in flow. And that's kind of what happened yesterday. And then Lonnie raised a question, which I think carries us really nicely into what we're going to talk about today in this lesson. I'm still getting used to the light in this room. So lesson 104, I seek but what belongs to me in truth. What we seek is perfect happiness, which is our right. If it is our right, then why does it seem we do not have it all the time? We do not have it because we refuse to see it, and it's right in front of us. The mind must be ready to receive the happiness that is offered. Peace is a package deal, and we don't get to decide what the package is. Happiness begins and ends in a mind that is at peace with the world. That doesn't mean that the world needs to be at peace. So we need to stop looking for external peace in an external world. We need to stop looking for that to offer us something that it cannot give. Happiness is relearned each moment that we accept what is. Every moment you experience has one common denominator. It is given to you as a living, moving part of the eternal mind, the one mind, the mind of the absolute, the mind of the well that is always full, the mind that we call God, infinite, unlimited. If we can learn to accept the perfection of the moment, whatever it is, without resistance, happiness will follow. And make no mistake, it takes practice to do this. Have your experience with it and decide if it's true for you or not. This lesson comes as a series of lessons. I'm going to read lesson 2 and 3 and 4, and you'll see the progression. Lesson 2 is I share God's will for happiness for me. I share it. And then lesson 103 is God being love is also happiness. And then lesson 104 is I seek but what belongs to me in truth. And then lesson 105 is God's peace and joy are mine. So what this series is doing is its own form of mind training. It is telling us that we are the happiness we seek. We are that. But that's a reversal of what we usually think. And the Course says that this is a reversal also of the idea that giving, it's a reversal of the idea of giving. It's to understand that true giving never lessens the giver, but it extends the limitless to the unlimited. So it's asking us to let go of the idea that there can be loss of any kind. God never loses, and that's why it's a package deal. So I seek but what belongs to me in truth is really a recognition. And when I first understood this lesson, when I first read it, and for a long time I understood it, was that I, the personality Amy, had to accept that the truth was that I'm happiness. I had to accept that. And I worked for a really long time as the personality Amy to try to accept that what I seek, this happiness, is already mine. And that was a really good effort, but it was only half of the way, because I didn't really quite understand exactly what I was. And we are the happiness we seek because of what we are, because we're God's being, and I hadn't really gotten that yet. Now, Lonnie asked a question yesterday that goes right into this lesson, and I want to bring this question up because it really relates. If I can find it here. Essentially, Lonnie asked if the denial of the personality self is a denial of the divine. Did I get that right, Lonnie? No? Okay. Lonnie, why don't you say what you...
Is it, my question was, is the denial of the personality self, the person Lonnie, the person Amy, the person Regis, Sandra, is denying the person a denial of the divine? If the divine exists in all of us, are we then in denial of the divine's experience of being Lonnie, Amy, May? You know, where is there a, I don't have another way of saying that, but I hope it makes sense.
That's all right. And that came after a discussion following the guides, in which the guide said, even in the upper room, you stub your toe. Right.
It came also, the question came because in the witnessing, so often we hear about, the personality and how it's not this and it's not that. And it almost as though that person that we are, there seems to be these implications that somehow that is not something. But if all is God, then to me, that person that we are and God's experience of being through this person that I am or that I exist as is God. And so I'm trying to understand this term denial and where that falls on that line, I guess.
Okay. So I'm going to take us on a little trip, and I could be wrong about this, and I hope that we will have some talk about it. Before we do this, though, I want to say that Lonnie's question is a really mature question, and that to some extent, we are on this journey together in a way that I am not really too sure too many groups have taken. This is a very mature question. So I want to explain it and give my share to this in light of today's lesson. I seek but what belongs to me in truth. First of all, there's no need to seek only the personality self seeks. And that's why it says in truth, because in truth, there's only one. And in truth, there's no personality. Truth, the oneness, expresses itself in infinite ways. But this is where we get confused, because the question is, am I in God or is God in me? And a Course is very clear about this. We are in God. We are in God, of God, as God, and with God. God is not with us. If we looked at it as if God is with us, that would mean there would be an infinite us's that God would be in. But there is only the infinite one. And we are in that. So is the denial of the personality, and this is my paraphrasing now, is the denial of the personality self, the denial of the divine? And I'm going to say no, because there is no personality self. Only the divine. The personality self is a false self of identity, of individuality, of separateness, and it's made of memories of the past that are brought into the present moment. If I sit in what a Course calls the clear, holy space within myself, there's no Amy. There's only the silent awareness of being. The movement that expresses itself as Amy is a movement of the divine, but it's never Amy. It's always only the divine expressing itself in a unique way. So if I deny Amy, the movement of God as Amy, then in a sense, yes, I am denying the divine. So it's really in some ways a case of both and, which is why I say this is really a mature lesson, because you have to hold both ideas at once. But the truth is, there is only the divine expressing itself in infinite variety. So I am as God created me. What does that truly mean? I am as God created me. I am unlimited and I am infinite. And I ask us, can we know ourselves as that? We cannot know ourselves as that with the personality self. In a sense, we have to go deeper than that, into the silence and the complete awareness. And that might be we might very superficially be able to include the uniqueness of ourselves as sort of the flavor of God, but that doesn't equate with the very personal, separate self. So when I say I am as God created me, I may have a sense of myself as this sort of fingerprint of God. I'm a fingerprint, a unique fingerprint of the absolute. And I can have a sense of that, but I have to hold that sense in the truth, in what belongs to me in truth, which is the infinite unlimited, because that's what I am in truth. So the personality self knows fear, it knows separation, it knows anger, it knows all these things. And God knows those feelings, those emotions, those experiences through what seems to be the personality self, but it's never the personality self. It's always only the divine. And so the question is God in me or am I in God? And I would submit that we get those two mixed up. It's really easy to do that. We have to be really clear that God is not in the personality self. God is, and the personality self may be a limited expression of the unlimited, but it isn't the ultimate truth. How do I know it's not the ultimate truth? Because when I sit in silence and I listen, there is no personal self there. It is only the peace of God. It is only that. And then I get up and move as God in God, as a seemingly separate movement, as a wave on the ocean. But I'm never the wave, I'm always the water. So I want to go into something else, Patricia, and then the guides say, no one can take God from you. It's completely impossible when you understand that God expresses in every cell of your being, in every thought, in all things seen and unseen. No one can take God from you when God is not only the air you breathe, but the very idea of life itself. So what is this God? And as John says, the finite can never know the infinite. So in some ways, when we ask this question, we have to ask it in a new way. And we see the question, it's the same question, but we see it from a new perspective. So you are accepting a world that is in God, and that's a very distinct difference from seeing God in the world. This is the challenge. We are being asked to do this. We're being asked to switch from computer program B back to the original computer program A while we're still running computer program B. We have to function in this world as a doer. It seems like we are a doer. I open the refrigerator, I get the food out to feed this body, but it's always only God doing that. And if the body chose not to open the refrigerator and not to feed the body and the body died, that would be okay. So we are accepting a world in God that is very distinct and different from seeing God in the world. So God is the home of everything, and we experience the world as God's being. And that is a big step up for most of us, to see ourselves as God's being. This is unlimited seeing. We're asked to see the limited in an unlimited way. And most of us are really just learning to do this. We are just learning. So it's the unlimited, seeing the limited through unlimited knowing, and then bringing that to a transcendent state that is always now, and then now, and then now. And where is the personality self in this? Where is it? And I'm asking you to tell me. So that's what I have. I seek but what belongs to me in truth. And the truth is God's being, always and forever. And Patricia's waited patiently, and I appreciate it, Patricia. I have one more thing I want to share, and I
Mhm.
don't know, thank you. I don't know if it will shed light or not. I'm going to do a Cindy on us, and I'm going to share something personal. And Sandra, I hope, is here because it has to do with Sandra. This is the challenge. For me, this is the challenge for me. So at one of our meetings last week, we were talking about the gardens. And Sandra said that I had created these beautiful gardens, something like that. And I said, I immediately responded without even thinking, no, the gardens created themselves. And even as I said those words out of my mouth, I knew with another part of my mind that I was denying Sandra. And in that instant, even before I finished the sentence, I felt ashamed and bad because I had denied Sandra. And this happened like that. Where was the personality self in that? It was so quick, so fluid. It just came out. Okay, there is no personality self. So God moved itself to say those words and then have the immediate recognition that those words denied the sovereignty of another being. And then the false self, the personality self, steps in and feels guilty about it. Took responsibility for God's words coming out of God's being, and the false self took responsibility for that and felt ashamed. Is this all too intricate for everybody? Is this all just too silly and stupid? That's what happened. And that is, where is the personality self in that? I'm just asking. And so Sandra and I had a really beautiful conversation about it because we talked about it later, and she totally understood, and she healed the wound because she didn't blame me. She forgave me. She knew who I am in truth, even as I know who she is in truth. But this is how the personality self expresses, and it expresses so quickly and so subtly that the egoic mind will very easily say, it's just the personality self and it's all God, right? And on some level, that is true. But we are asked to step into a more mature and transcendent knowing, which means we are asked to pay more attention. And the only way we can do this is by living in the absolute now, in the absolute truth. And the only way that we can live in the absolute now with the absolute truth is to have the absolute courage of being God's being. So thank you for allowing me to share with you. That's where I am, and I'm sure I'm not all the way there, but that's where I am. And Patricia, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Now, that leads me into something I wanted to say. You know, as we're on this path together, the personality self enters into consciousness and is aware of behavior. So if I'm unkind and I'm not accepting and I'm not empathic, which I can often be, I am responsible for that. But when I choose a path of acting and behaving as God would, as the God within, then I am kind, I am empathic, and I am patient, and I am accepting. So I think that behavior part is an important thing for us to pay attention to, because we're raising our consciousness as a group together as we're on this path. So you feel bad about your interaction with Sandra, and I can feel bad about something that happens. I have to take responsibility for it and heal it. I hope that makes some sense.
It does. It does. When I say God is in me and I am in God, the phrase I am in God, it describes our identity, right? It describes our safety, our assuredness, right? It describes our experience in the omnipresent, all unlimited. But when I say God is in me, then that describes the indwelling God. And so God is both without and within at the same time. And this is why I say this is a really mature lesson, because we are being called upon as God's being to begin to really notice and live these subtle differences. These subtle, not differences, but the subtle expressions. They're not differences, they're expressions. And the guides tell us that we have to let go of everything that we think is true. And I think as we begin to see the personality self in a transcendent way, and we begin to see how subtle it is, it's going to be important that we have absolute honesty about it and that we're willing to share with each other what the experience is. It'll be different for all of us, as Libby told us yesterday. And I want to just quote from A Little Willingness here. Section 6 says that in preparing for the holy instant, do not attempt to make yourself holy to be ready to receive it. So we live and move in it, and we trust in it, and we notice and we pay attention. Good morning, Livy. I hope I haven't been thoroughly confusing.
Not at all. I
Mm.
don't think. Good morning, everybody. So, what I love about this, yeah, more and more, um, and especially, I guess, the, okay, I'm getting sidetracked. So more and more, as y'all know, I've gotten to where I walk in the morning. And it's something I look forward to now because I feel like I'm a part of everything, because I am. And it's like I get to hang out with the trees. And Rana and I were talking yesterday and feeling the wind and really experiencing the wind, and it makes sounds and what it feels like on my face. And just appreciating, everything is in God, of God, and with God. Every single thing. I live with 4 living beings that happen to be in cat bodies, and to be able to be with them and hang out with them and to be of service, to be able to be of service. And so recognizing that I am in the divine and I am love and everything is in the divine and everything is love. It I'm learning to appreciate my humanness a lot more, and I'm really grateful for the knowings of that and being able to laugh. And so I just appreciate the knowing that, you know, just feeling the space, everything, and to recognize that. And, I heard something the other day that said, when something to the effect of, when you think of God and don't, when you hear talk of God and don't feel comforted, you've been lied to.
Mm.
And I really appreciated that. But I appreciate, I'm just really growing to appreciate being human within this divine experience. It's like the waves when they get up and do their thing, and then they come back down, and so to have fun with this expression of the divine and see what it's the one that sings through me. It's the one that the music comes, it's just, it makes everything, even the sorrows, and stuff just take on a whole new take, and it helps to take the stories away, when I'm in my humanness and I start feeling the ego really wanting to take over, which is so subtle, as was already mentioned. It's a subtle little thing, big thing. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to share how more enriched my life feels, recognizing my humanness within the divine, and what a fabulous example Jesus was of that, And so love all y'all. Be the
I,
love that you are. Listen to me being all kind of fancy or whatever, but I sure do love y'all. Thank you, Amy, for the lead.
Thank you, Livy. I think that's a really good example of what I'm talking about here, trying to explain in a way that may actually not be very clear. It could have been just what you just said, Livy. I think the more we open ourselves up to God being in everything as everything, everything is in God and we are that, that it's almost like our nerve endings become extended outward. and we grow to see ourselves and experience ourselves as everything in God. And that may not always feel good. And this is where the guide said, even in the upper room, you stub your toe, because it includes everything. Right. And that's where I think most of us haven't spent a lot of time in the space of including everything as our being, and our being God's being. Really taking the experience of God's being beyond the body and seeing through the heart. I think you just explained it, and you did it all on your walk. Thank you, Libby. John, and then Cindy.
I want to thank you too, Livy, because what I'm getting from you is the tone and of the message, and the tune of it too. I really love it when you talk and explain your stuff, because you add a new layer for me. So thank you very much. But I did want to go back to what I got out of you from Amy. Really, your talk, say like your confusion per se, relative to your questioning and your mature questioning. And I think, if I may say so, what came for me was really when you talk about personality. So personality basically is the persona, the masked. I'm masking something. I'm hiding something. So what am I hiding? And that took me straight back to the Garden of Eden. When I've made a choice, and God is coming after me. And where are you? Where are you? As if He didn't know. There am I. I'm naked, and I knew not, but now I have to cover myself. So it's really, and it's so beautiful. The guilt that you felt. Like it just springs up with your conversation with Sandra. Like we know when we're not in truth at some level. It just means like, where are you? Where are you, Amy? And it's like I'm hiding again. So, like you say, it's to have the courage to report what the heck's going on, and expose this. What was it that said that I've been lied to? I've been lied to. What the hell am I believing in this scenario? What on earth is still going on that I'm hooked to? And that really, and I'm so happy to share this because Cindy brought it up the other day, and to me, it's like it's the growth or the evolution of the branches, and I don't have to let go of anything. I just have to pay attention to what my growth. And my question is, and that stuff that old fruit will fall away on its own. It'll drop by its weight. So that was a great. I don't have to go to big exercise of this, that, or the next thing. So the whole thing is jam packed with action for me today, and I'm super excited because I missed yesterday's call. So this is really like a Monday and a Tuesday combo for me. So thanks, folks. I love you all.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Yeah, I hope that you can listen to yesterday's, because it was really, really good. Thank you. Cindy, good to see you again.
Good to be seen. I don't know that I have a lot of words other than thank you. Really grateful. Don't go looking to listen to yesterday's yet because it hasn't been uploaded yet. Cindy's moving at a snail's pace and not even apologizing for it. Oh. I raised my hand. There's something that the guides are saying in the weekend workshop that I haven't uploaded yet. And I've heard them say it before. The new attunement, what they're still calling new, we are in God, we are of God, we are with God, is not. It's a statement for the human collective. And I've been really sitting with that, this recognition Um, that I've the other thing part of this, something that was big in at Awakening Together that has stuck with me, is this understanding that awareness alone is curative. So when you're speaking about the honesty and just bringing things up, that's the key that we're being asked, is to allow it all to come into the light of awareness, and then it sorts itself out. And I've been very careful of noticing that. This weekend was phenomenal for me to notice, as I met with some cousins I don't see very often and different things, the veil that's here. Not, I have no idea what's coming through other individuated expressions, but I've noticed that here I'm talking to my cousin who's I think 57 or something, right? And I'm just still seeing the obnoxious little kid, not really wanting to run around, and in the noticing of the structure that's here that's creating separation, like I was really able to see how Cindy holding on to the memories of the past created a barrier in communication. That and as soon as I noticed that, there was more light and there was more, what do the guides say, that the fabric loosens. And I watched myself connect with my cousin Scott, or I watched the connection shift. There really wasn't any Cindy, like this awareness. Like, I'm being careful because I don't even know, like I was listening to all this conversation about the personal self, and I realized that I don't have that same kind of tight weave here in identifying as a person separate. I have a meanness that has all these attributes to it, but it also has a connection. And in my non-judgmental awareness of how the past was coloring my ability to intimately connect with another piece of God that was right across from me, my ability to connect with this other piece of God increased. It still had the coloring, but I wasn't even, the less I became attached to the past and my judgments of the past, the more we were just connecting in a whole new way. And the more intimate it becomes, without it needing to become something else. The more I heard, the more I was able to appreciate. And then I turned from that conversation to another one, and this whole new level of separation just appeared, colored with previous assumptions and beliefs. And do you remember when? And I don't like this person because, or I do like this person because. And it was such an interesting view just in how I was seeing through colored lenses or dirty lenses. There's no judgment at this point. There's just this awareness of how that kept rising and falling. I had such a beautiful, continuous ability. Even watching my nephew is 29 and getting married, and I'm looking at him, and I've got all these memories of him being 2 and 3 and 4 and whatever that was coloring my ability to just be in the moment until I noticed it was coloring, and then it started to clear. So much of what is going on here, I'm just really grateful and I'm really appreciative. And when we all say that we're creating a space to allow all of this to come up just to be seen, I feel it. And then to be able to feel it here and then take it into what, for this individuated expression anyway, is the most difficult. I could be myself everywhere except with my family, that was a belief. And man, I'm not holding that belief anymore. There's no reason to be anything but honest, period. Even when it's sloppy and messy and appears to be ugly. So it's really good to be here. Thank you for this, Amy. Thank you for this opening. And I agree with Alka. let's get confused together, because confusion means we're letting go of what we used to think what we thought was true to allow something new to arise. Yeah.
Thank you, Cindy. What's been arising here, and I think this is partly why I noticed that what happened with beloved Sandra. In the past, I might not have noticed that, or it might have touched me that I was in judgment just for a second. And I might have just said, that's not important. But I can't do that anymore. I can no longer allow that to happen and go unnoticed. And that's just me, because my desire to be what I am in truth is really it's really in me, and it wants to express in this way. And it expresses for each of us in our own unique way. Even though we're all the one divine, we express in an infinite variety of ways. And I want to just read one other thing about this. Is at the end of Divine Union, so we'll get this, and then Lonnie. I did see your hand go up, Lonnie, and so I'm not going to forget. It says the text that we're offering now, which is the Divine Union, the text that is being authored now will be the first of several that are all about experience. And in offering of the experience, we no longer teach what one should do. We teach what is. And in the experience of what is, you are invited to join, agree, and sing with us in a range of voice and vibrational tone that you had no idea you possessed. And so what I want to offer here is that as we live more and more in awareness in the present moment, more and more connected to what is the divine, we will see more and more and experience more and more. And as we bring that to the transcended state, we have no idea what that will look like, but it will be good. Lonnie, thank you for putting up with me this morning.
Good morning, family. I love you all. We love you all. What I hear when you tell your Sandra story is this. I hear the divine celebrating and witnessing itself through what Amy, and acknowledging itself through Amy's work in the garden, but witnessing itself. And then what I heard was the divine acknowledging, but yes, yes, acknowledging itself. Yes, it was the divine who did this. And yes, through this. So I hear nothing wrong in anything that happened in that exchange. I hear the judgment of the exchange of this was my personality. But I keep going back to, and through this entire conversation of listening, is going back to God is all is God. No matter how it shows up, no matter how it appears, no matter how it expresses, God was witnessing. God can only witness itself by being able to see this. God, the divine awareness, consciousness, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And so part of what I'm not going to say much more because there's too much going through right now. But part of what it is God in me? Am I of God or is God in me? And what I keep hearing with those two distinctions is as long as they are there, then there's no real knowing that just God is. It doesn't matter if it's inside or outside or that perception of inside, outside, blah, blah, blah. God is. Period, period, period. And so there's that celebration. As I heard your story, there was this celebration. Oh, well, look at God. Look at God recognizing itself and then doing that little exchange and then coming back to acknowledge, oh, wow, look at what we've done in the recognition of the divine in this being. That's kind of how I heard it. No right or wrong any place. No mistakes any place because God is. And God had that experience through these two expressions. How freaking awesome. I think there's a very fine line in that thing of denying the personality. And that question that I was asking is really a fine, fine line that maybe it gets overlooked a lot. Thanks.
Good morning, Jerry.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much. I know we're out of time. I'm just going to keep it real short. This past Sunday at a non-dual homily, the person talked about this and talked about our evolution of our faith and talked about the absolute versus the relative, you know, God versus our small self, and she talked her overall thing was we don't need to do we think 100% of this or 100% of that, go that way. She talked about we can have 200%. The more we do each, the more we bring together both. We don't have to settle for the 100%. We can have the 200%. And that reminds me a whole lot of, I guess what Richard talks about a whole lot is God is in present. And that brings both of them together. That's where they both meet. And I don't know, that's the evolution that I want to go to bring them both together, to see how they're interwoven and not omit either. I haven't been able to omit either. And saying it's not real hasn't worked. Now, you think of May a couple of weeks ago when she said, I've been here 10 years and I look around here and something's not right. And I think about our path of evolving and the path of evolving of bringing both of those together to get to the 200% somehow, some way. That's why I'm here. Thanks.
Thank you, Jerry. Well, we're 2 minutes over. I want to thank you all for being here this morning. And I guess we'll be meeting again in a little bit.
Yeah, let me stop the recording.